Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Season 6 of Big Mouth. And this is the very, very raunchy, grotesquely animated series created by Nick Kroll, focusing a lot on his childhood, and along with Andrew Goldberg and Jennifer Flackett and Mark Levin. And we have the 6th season, and all the kids are still dealing with all kinds of things, all things horny, and them dealing with puberty and all kinds of weird stuff. Some of the, more or less, this show is pretty consistent, at least in tone and jokes and stuff like that. There's always like a sprinkling of meta humor in there, even pointing fun at Netflix itself. There's always the very raunchy jokes, the strange manifestations of things to represent basic normal things that we have, these emotions and different things like that. This particular season didn't really add anything new in that area, like some of the previous seasons adding like love bugs and all kinds of different stuff like that. But this particular season, some of the things they shook up. One, Murray, our most featured of all of our hormone monsters, winds up having a baby. So you get to spend that time with his baby, who's also Connie, the hormone monster's baby. So like they spend time with the baby, and baby's basically at least an infant right off the bat, and he's sassy, you have fun. But really at the core of it, you have Andrew and Nick. And Andrew gets himself a girlfriend, and that's the new storyline for him. And most of it's over like Skype, basically. But there's other elements that go on throughout the season. So you see that new perspective. And then you have Nick, who's really trying to look into his past and realizes that he has a whole Scottish background and a crazy uber masculine Scottish grandfather, and his dad is hiding a lot. And you have all those elements that are coming into play as well. Some of those pieces, even for this show, just feel so out there and out of place. This like nipple twist wrestling and stuff like that going on. I do think it's interesting that this season focuses a lot more on some of the family drama, like the Birches, and you have the Glaubermans, and their own marital issues become such huge focal points in like especially the second half of this season, that you're kind of like, isn't this show about the kids? You do have some big elements with like Jay dating Matthew and becoming tamed, and those kinds of things that Jay's dealing with. We get to experience a lot of that, and it's interesting looking at that. We also have, because like Nick Kroll plays 50 million characters in this show, and we have Lola, who winds up going on her whole different experiences and what's going on with her being on her own without Jay anymore, and like her trying to figure out who her dad is, and like her absent mother. You get Andrew finally getting himself a love bug, voiced by Chris O'Dowd, and you have all those elements in this season that keep things a little bit fresh. I feel like this season, of all the seasons so far, feels the least fresh. It kind of feels like it's like we're experiencing a lot of these things already. It doesn't feel like this show is really innovating too much. It's just coming up with new storylines and stuff like that, not really breaking the mold. But I did appreciate towards the very end of the season, this last episode, they go into some fun with like a Freaky Friday setup, except it's like a ton of them wind up switching places, and some of them very odd switching of places. But overall, I think this season is solid. I do think it peaks at the end with the season finale, where they really put a little extra oomph into it. And, you know, they deal with a lot of different kinds of things. Like, I think one of the biggest things they introduce is, like, Missy has a boyfriend and he might be asexual, so you deal with that element. But it's mostly the more focus on the parents that seems to be, like, the biggest shakeup this season. And, like, I don't know, I didn't feel as invested in that as I did with the kids. So overall, I still think it was a lot of fun. I laughed quite a bit. It's another season of Big Mouth, and I'm looking forward to the 7th. But those are my thoughts on Season 6 of Big Mouth. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.